Hey, what's up guys, Rover here. Well, I gotta say, it's a good time for Epic 7. Changes are finally implemented and there's going to be a lot of buzz around. With the latest patch, we should all have received 50% of both Galaxy bookmarks and Mystic medals that we used in the summons, from the 30th of August last year till the 2nd of August last week. Now with these changes, what does this mean for the Epic 7 community? Well, all players now have more summon pools, which in turn better chances to get ML heroes. Not necessarily the ones you want. I mean, luck still plays a big role here. However, F2P players have a chance to get a 4-star or 5-star ML hero if you don't have one yet. And for those who already have them, especially those who spent a lot of money, they will probably complete the hero collection by now, and you'll see more players having S, double S, or even triple S Moonlight characters. Basically, the unlucky ones will have a second chance of getting one, while the ones who got one has a chance to get more. Well, that's just how it is. If you want to address one part of the group, you can't just forget the other. Talking about summons, the regular summoning rate has been changed. You have roughly 52% chance of getting a hero, while 48% chance of getting an artifact. Compare this to the old rates, it's now easier to pull a character. On the hero side, you have around 5% of pulling a Moonlight unit. If you are getting a hero, you know, from the visuals and animation before the character is revealed, you have around 9.6% that it's going to be a Moonlight. Then this is further broken into 3 parts, 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star. From the 52%, you have 4.35% of pulling a 3-star ML, 0.5% of pulling a 4-star ML, and a 0.15% of pulling a 5-star ML hero. On the artifact side, the only thing they changed is reducing the chances of pulling a 3-star artifact from 45% to 40%. A smart choice, considering half of the 3 stars are practically useless. Now, will this change the rarity and value of ML heroes? For the most part, definitely yes, but it doesn't change much for 5-star ML. The chances of pulling one is still minuscule. What this does is that it just adds another way to get a 5-star ML. The only thing that changes is that people will have more access to 3-star and maybe 4-star ML heroes. It's good that it's finally added. The thought that you have a chance of getting any ML hero is enough to make you feel a little excited when doing your summons. At least you have something to look forward to, even if it's small. For Mystic summons, there are some changes. They've implemented a pity summon, so at your 201st summon, it's guaranteed to pull the newest ML hero. Now if you are starting from 0, you need 10,000 Mystic medals to reach that point. They have the same system as the limited banner, where if you do pull the hero, the countdown resets. What's good about this is that the countdown stays after the new rotation, so you don't really have to keep your Mystic medals fearing you'll lose the stacks when it rotates to a new one. 10k Mystic medals is a hefty amount, but you do have a month to grind. Whether you have enough time to collect that much will probably depend on how well you and your guild do in Guild Wars. Currently, Apocalypse Ravi and Wonder Silk are available, and you have a month to get them. The other rewards changes weekly, so the best time to pull from this summon is if you also have some stuff that you want from the weekly pull. At least with this, you are less likely to pull your hairs out if you don't get what you want. If you do reach the 4th week and still don't like anything from the weekly pull, then that's where you can blow all your Mystic summons for ML Ravi. That is, if you're patient enough to wait that long. UI for Mystic Summon is improved, as you can see, it looks better now, and the stuff that you can get is clear and right in your face. There are also visual improvements, gold background when pulling 4 to 5-star units and artifacts, and purple background when pulling 4 to 5-star ML units. Great addition, to be honest. One of the best parts of Epic 7 is the anticipation of summons. Having this builds up and improves the experience. We also have hero relationship improvements. I mean, if you are a new player, a majority of the relationship map will be unknown or has a question mark, and will reveal itself as you progress through the story. This will constantly change when they add new contents in story mode or with new story events. It's a nice addition for those who are interested in the world of Epic 7. Alright, hero adjustments. First up, Luluka is getting a nice buff on 2 of her skills. Her S1 Wild Wave now has a fixed chance at 50% to apply defense break. Fixed because all her skill enhance just increase damage. This makes her a solid defense breaker unit since you don't have to rely on her S3. Also with this, it becomes easier to reapply the debuff. Her S3 Wave of Vengeance is also buffed, increasing the defense break chance to 60%. They also reworded her damage scaling, I think. Before it said damage increase with each use, stacking up to 3 times, but now instead of damage increase it says attack increase. It does sound like she might be getting a unique buff similar to an attack buff, but that's not the case. Better off not having one, to be honest, and just let it be hidden. It would make her weak when she builds up the stacks and just gets stripped off in the end. Now what does this mean for Luluka? Well, she's now a solid defense breaker unit. If she was already one before, she's even better now. Next up, Baal and Cezanne. Dark Cloud's damage is increased by 30% and damage dealt proportional to debuffs is increased by 50%, which are both really good. Before he was in a shitty spot because his S2 doesn't do jack shit unless you put more than 2 or 3 debuffs on the enemy, and defeating an enemy using this skill for that extra effect was very hard to pull off. But now it's a bit easier with the extra damage. Last Requiem's cooldown is reduced by 2, so instead of 6 turns, it's now sitting at 4 turns. 3 turns when at plus 3 skill enhance. It's crazy, but it kinda makes sense. I mean, Dark Cloud still relies on Last Requiem to do more damage, but now Last Requiem doesn't have to rely on Dark Cloud to be useful. Before 6 turn is how long? You had to get a kill using his S2, and at most you will probably only get to use it twice. The first time you use it and the reset from S2. But with this change, it's much easier to use. The reset from S2 becomes a nice addition rather than a requirement you have to fulfill. Ludwig is also getting a buff. His Moonlight Blow now guarantees an invincibility buff for 1 turn. Before you had to defeat an enemy using this skill, but now it's much easier to use. Also, his S3 Call of the Moon is reworked a bit to balance with his S2. Basically, he gets 20% defense penetration without invincibility buff, and 50% when he does have it. With this, you don't have to hold back when using his S2, rather this will be the first thing you use to get that buff and fully take advantage of his defense penetration. Okay, for Tenebria, S1 now increases the chance of applying sleep to 40%. Before she was on par with Angelica when trying to hit debuffs, but now at least she's better. It's still very low, but if you compare it to what she gets when she does sleep a target, the reward is pretty damn big. Also, her S3 Nightmare has 10% more chances of applying defense break. Now it's sitting at 70% chance, 85% when at plus 4 skill enhance, as well as reducing her cooldown by 1, now at 5 turns. I guess in a way this makes her viable in endgame contents where bosses have high as effect resistance. Leo also gets a buff. Fox Hunt now has 50% chance to use Sparrow Dive, which I think has a 25% chance to apply stun. Flying Raku now has 75% chance to stun, very strong in PvP. In a way, this makes Specimen Says cry. Tears of Joy if you pair him with Leo, makes it easier to use his S3. How much of an impact this does, I'll leave it to you if you plan to use any of them. At the moment, a lot of people want changes on ML Says, but if he does get one, Leo is something you might want to hold on to, since skill synergy between these two is plain and clear. Its cooldown is also reduced by 1, so overall a pretty good buff. And we have Roman, finally bringing back dead units, right? So he's Gravitation. Before, it can reduce combat readiness by 15% and triggers 2 times. Now with the changes, it can go up to 4 times, double what it was before. If you are very lucky, that's 60% combat readiness reduction. With Skill Enhance, this can go up to 80% reduction. That is a lot, considering it can hit all enemies. Event Horizon has an extra effect. If you use this skill while the enemy is buffed, he will gain 80% combat readiness. Okay, with this, slow tanky teams will have no chance against this guy. Half of your time against him will probably be spent waiting for your turn to come. Also, Ricorus is getting a buff, so his S1 has an extra effect where he gains additional chance to apply defense break by 25% when he is granted increased speed. That's 60% without Skill Enhance and 75% with Skill Enhance. That's pretty high considering it's his normal attack. So if you want a higher chance to apply defense break, he needs a speed buff. His S2 does give him 1, but it also decreases the cooldown of all skills by 1, so that's not something you would use first unless you are in a PvE content where when you just reach the boss and some of your unit skills are still in cooldown. Yeah, that's one thing where you can use it. But then this means you will have to wait 1 turn before you can apply defense break. Yeah, I guess in a way it's pretty good if you need a turn to set things up. The other way is have another unit that can apply speed buff, but then again you already have Ricorus to do that, you don't really need another one. Yeah, at the moment he's still in a weird spot, but if you pull it off, it has a nice advantage. Also, we have Supreme Spear, has 100% more healing, and damage increases by 41%. Aside from that, nothing is changed. Effects are still the same. However, runes are changed. You have 5% more defense from Mineral Rune, and 10% more health on Health Rune. I guess in a way this makes him more tankier than before. And lastly, we have Raz. The most useless MC is finally getting a buff. Well, maybe not useless. People use him for his guaranteed dual attack. Aside from that, he's useless. They removed the -1 cooldown on his Skill Enhance of S3 and instead reduced the base cooldown. Healing from this skill now scales on max HP rather than damage. Now all of his skills, or most of his skills, scales on 1 stat rather than 2. Awakening has been removed and his S1 gains an awakening effect. And the awakening effect is it makes his normal attack dispel a buff at a 75% chance. Other additional changes I should mention is that hero inventory has been increased to 300. For every 20 sky stones you get an extra 5 slots. Definitely max it if your inventory is almost full. Saves you time from constantly clearing your inventory. Also in the arena shop, you can now purchase Unknown Slate. Currently it's at 40% off. If you are a heavy PvP player, I'm sure you have more than enough to buy this. Get it while it's hot. The rest of the patch notes, I don't think a majority of you cares, so I'm just gonna leave them out. So yeah, that's all for this patch update. A bit late for me to say this, but good luck on your summons. And let me know in the comments below if you finally got the hero you wanted from this generous update. Thanks for watching, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and it will give me a good idea whether I should do more of this in the future. Alright, Rover out.